Hi everybody, my name is Sherry. Welcome to my stamp studio. Today has been marathon filming. I have one more thing left to do after this, and it is for those of you who purchase from me. I'm going to do my VIP video. So if every month if you purchase just $20 from me, then you get a link to a special project that's private. It's not one that's posted on my public channel. And then if you spend a little bit higher, there's other levels in between, but the top level, they get the stuff to stamp along with me. So I have to film that and then get their packets ready. But I won't be here the week that Stampin' Up! Has Backstage, which in my time sitting here today is next week. But when this films, I think we'll be mostly, maybe on the last day is when this will post of Backstage. So it's always a little weird for me when I film super ahead, especially when I just keep filming and filming and filming, because I'd like to stand up and go do something else, but I also am on a mission. So before I get going on today's card, which does feature A Child is Born, the nativity set that Stampin' Up! Has this Christmas, I'm going to show you a few other things that you may have missed or may not know about. So some new online exclusives became available at the beginning of November. So here are some sets that I don't have. I did make these cards, but it was part of a shoebox swap with my friends. So this one is coming because I think that bundle may be an add-on, a bonus bundle for our December card club. And then here's one that I do have the tutorial for. This is called Pop-Up Petals. Super cute little set. This is card club for November, but unfortunately by the time this video posts, my card club for November will be full. You can always, since it'll be just a day or two after it's filled, and since I won't be home, if you're interested in subscribing, email me. I'm hoping not to take my laptop with me, but I can check email on my phone. These are all made with Brushed with Beauty Suite, which is, like I said, November's card club focus. This is one that we'll have post while I'm gone, or close to, maybe, I don't know. It's one I filmed today, and then here's another. And then I don't have any idea if it's still available. I would hope so, but we have a free class with purchase. Me and 3 of my best friends got together and did a 12 card tutorial bundle. If you purchase the 12 Days of Crafting kit, it's an advent calendar from any of us. So you can go watch this video, learn a lot more about the advent calendar. In fact, if you don't want to see what's behind the doors in the advent calendar, don't watch this yet. Watch it after you open yours. But these are my 3 cards, and so all of us have 3 cards that we have designed and will have as part of that bundle. If you've already bought the kit, if you're a demonstrator or you bought it from your own demonstrator, then you can simply purchase the tutorial bundle from us. So that's on my website as well. So today I'm using A Child is Born, which is funny because I think these were 2 of the very first cards. This may have been the first card or second card I did back when we didn't even have the catalog yet. And so my intent the whole way along was to get back to it, but I bought a lot of stuff. And so I'd already used it twice, so I felt like I needed to at least use all the other things once. So now we're finally back to it. So this one is a fun fold. It doesn't take a long time. This was actually our card club paper, maybe September. No, it wasn't just the one. I don't know. They all start to run together. And then this card I did right after because when I posted this, and it was one of the first videos that went up with A Child is Born on YouTube, people were like, oh, the no faces. But I realized that it is kind of an ode to Willow Tree. So I did this, and it has been fun over the last couple of months since I posted this to see so many variations of my card appear on other people's websites. So that's been kind of fun. So today I'm going to go back to it. I'm going to use A Child is Born. And then I'm going to use Falling Snow, because if you've not made your Christmas card yet, you want something that's quick and easy, right? And this is a very pretty card. And stay tuned to the end because I have a little bit of Christmas magic that happened to the one that I made yesterday, my sample card. And I'm going to show you a different way to do it in case you don't like the magic that happened. So let's make this card. Not only is it easy, it doesn't take very many supplies. So I have a piece of white, basic white, to be our card, which means you wouldn't have to put any special thing on the inside because whoever you give it to is going to be able to see it. Let me just fold that in half. That's our card base. And then I have a piece of vellum that started out, this is new, it's part of the Brushed with Beauty Suite on online exclusives. It comes 12 by 12 and it feels maybe a tad bit thicker than our vellum used to be. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I haven't felt vellum for a minute, but it's thicker than I remember it to be. I would say this is cut 3 3/4-ish by just under 5. I wanted to be able to see a little bit more of around it. So again, we don't need a lot for this. I am going to use my Versamark. I have my background stamp. You can put it on a stamping platform, you can put it on a big block, or you can just lay it on the table, which is the way I prefer to do it. And I'm going to flip this way. Ink it. I would say ink it and make sure you get everywhere, but we're going to stamp white on white and it's going to be underneath the vellum. So if it's not stamped perfectly and you don't get every little snowdrop, it is not something to worry about. Snowdrop, snowflake. So you're just going to take this on here. Lay it on. The way the stamp looks on the cover is most of the snow is at the top, and as it softly falls, it comes down. So just press it. When you press it, you don't want to move it because it'll get a little queasy looking, like you're on a boat rocking if it has too much. So we have this, and then that's all we need for that. Get my embossing powder on it. Just be liberal with it. It also doesn't matter on this card if there's a little bit of overspray, like right here, because it's just going to look like more snow. So I'm going to have that. And then let's grab our piece here, and I'm going to kind of line it up so it's in the corner because I'm stamping clear ink onto clear paper. So this will at least help me a little bit. In fact, if you were going to do a lot of these, here's what I would do. I would take this, stamp it in a color on your scrap paper, and then when you lay these on top, it will give you someplace to aim for, because when I did mine, my original one, my sentiment is a tad bit close to the stars. Not so much that I couldn't use it because I'd already embossed this because I wasn't sure what I was doing. But this just kind of helps you know where you're stamping, because you can see something underneath it other than table. So got that. And then I have my stars. I'm going to do those first. Up here in this corner. And then there's a bunch of sentiments in this set. I have For Unto Us a Child is Born. The grid paper underneath also helps you make sure you get things straight when you can't see because they're on clear. Do this first because I dumped a lot of it out of my little thing. Give it a good flick. And then let me heat set these. Okay, so these are done. You can see right here I accidentally touched the edge of my gun, the heat tool on it, but I think this will cover it up. Just kind of, I guess I was being a little lazy. So now what I'm going to do with this, I guess I still need my scrap paper. I wanted it to be a little bit sparkly here on the back, so I am going to use some of my shimmer solution. If you have not seen me use this before, it is glycerin and a full wink of Stella, but I've been using the same little bottle for months. So it makes your wink of Stella go really far. Get some on here. But if you haven't seen it, then you can go to my blog, and it's at the top of every blog post, all the instructions on how to do it. It will make my card sparkly, which when you're not doing a whole lot to a card, makes this look a little special. I will show you if I can reach it. When I first started the card, it was not on white. You see how sparkly that is? See how sparkly my finger is? Maybe I can show you on this one because maybe I could use it for something else. I was going to do it on blue, but I didn't like the way the snowflakes went through on their faces. When it's on white, they don't do that quite as much. You can still see them. Well, let's see how pretty this would be. To sparkle this. Maybe we'll see this make an appearance in a video just before Thanksgiving. At some point, you know, you have to stop doing Christmas cards because I feel like you all have your stuff and have moved on to mass producing, or at least being close to getting done, at least having your idea. Yeah, that's very pretty. That could be a nice winter card. I don't know, do we have any snowman stamps? I think there's the cartoony one, which I did not get. So for this, again, I was thinking quick and simple. So at first it was going to be on the blue and not colored. And then I liked this, but I felt like it needed a pop of something. So when you color with embossing powder, you can use markers, the Stampin' markers, which are on last chance list, and most of them are discounted. But I just did that and I just showed you those. So, and I have a feeling this stamp set may be around next year, and I don't want people to watch it next year and be like, how do I get those markers? So I wanted to use my blends. Blends you cannot use on the front side. So we're going to flip this over. Plus, when you do it on the back, it goes super fast. So I'll tell you the colors. This is Dark Daffodil. Just going to go over the top of my stars because it doesn't show anywhere behind the embossing. It only shows like in those lines or outside the lines. And then I have Bronze, which has changed colors. Remember I told you about my little Christmas magic? It has changed colors. And I have a theory on why it's changed colors. And the nice thing is I am doing this in it's sometimes I film what I'm going to show you that day. That is not the case here. And then let's do their hair. You don't have to be neat. You can just scribble it on there. It would be better if I didn't have the stamping from my last project, which hasn't posted yet because I'm doing these out of order, underneath it, but you can see those little postmarks. So get their hair. So the first time I did it, I let it dry and then I went back and made it a little darker. You cannot tell. So I'm not going to do that this time. And then this is Dark Pebbled Path. Add some of it as well to the staff. And then I have Dark Petal Pink. For this, you want to get his hands, her hands, the baby's face, both their faces. It's a very subtle effect. So it should help those of you that are freaked because they don't have any faces, which if you go to one of my blog posts, I think is the one where you did the willow tree. I mean, it does look like willow tree. They have no faces. If you look at a lot of carved nativities, they have no faces because it's really hard to carve a face. I tried drawing faces on there and I see that some demonstrators have. If they're not just perfect, they look a little bit creepy. Mine looked very creepy. But the other reason that people don't draw nativities on faces on nativities is because they want the viewer or whoever's looking at the image to be able to reflect the faces that they see on it. So this is Light Secret Sea. And I'm going to do Baby Jesus in that. So sometimes when you're working with the vellum and blends, it can pool up. But that's okay because we're flipping it over. So this time, for the rest of their clothes, I'm going to do dark cloud cover. And I'm just going to go everywhere. I try not to touch the other colors because it might blend, and I don't want the colors to blend. I want them to stay in their own spot. But you can go right over the top of the embossing powder. Now, if I did this on the other side and I touched the embossing powder anywhere, it would, it kind of comes off, and it comes off right onto the tip of your blend. So it removes the image that you just took time stamping, and it is not good for the tips of your blend because you end up with a concoction of embossing powder that doesn't really feel like it. Now, can you see that? I did that because I liked it to look kind of watercolored, and you could see it from the other side. So it's on the second coat that it does it. And it's the alcohol kind of just separating on this vellum paper. And then it's quite beautiful. So see, it's nice and light colors. It dries, blends are fast drying, but sometimes on vellum it takes them a second. So when you put that on there, isn't it beautiful? Now stay tuned till you see my other one. We'll finish this one off because we're almost done. Like I said, it is a very quick card. So I took cloud cover, multiple colors of ribbon. You could do silver, you could do gold. I was a little bit torn about what to do with it. And then because vellum is hard to get to stick on a card, this is how I do it. I guess I need this back. I went ahead and I just put a line of adhesive across to the top of my card. And then have enough that you can do a bow. And then see, I've left that little strip up here, so that can attach to the card. So we'll go ahead and flip this over here. And this, which is not very much to hold it onto your card, right? So I do what I often did, and I put adhesive underneath the images. And that is where I'm gonna call it magic. Because I didn't expect it to happen, most certainly in the way that it did. But because it did, and I don't really want it to happen on this one, I'm gonna see once we get this on here. The first time I did that little strip up there to kind of hold it in place, because I wasn't even sure that this is how my card was gonna end up, but I did like this ribbon on here. You don't want a giant bow, because you don't want to cover up the stars and the words, so kind of hold it flat. This ribbon is nice for cards that you're gonna mail, because it does flatten. Kind of an airy ribbon. So don't tie a giant hard knot here, because that is one of the things the post office doesn't like when they take it in. If you get a person at the post office who like feels your card. So make sure it doesn't get bulk. And then I'm just going to do a little bow. So if you're mass producing these, I would do one of this and then see how much ribbon you took and go ahead and pre-cut your ribbon so you're not wasting it. As you can see, I'm going to end up cutting a lot off the edge. Okay, so we have that. Trim this off. And then we're going to see how secure this is. Probably not very, because it doesn't have very much holding it on there. And it also has the glycerin underneath, which doesn't stick. So yeah, it's still moving. I'm going to take a little bit of adhesive here and stick this so it doesn't move. My other one's a little bit tighter, but that's moving because it's the glycerin. So on the other one, I lifted it up and I put adhesive all behind my characters there, just with my seal. I'm not going to do that on this one. We are going to try taking a little bit of the fine tip glue. I'm going to go just up here under the foreign to us, and also a little bit more under that ribbon. And you don't want too much because you can see it through the vellum. But I think that should be good to hold it, and then we just have to add our embellishments, and then I'm going to show you what happens on the other card. For embellishments, I went back and forth, because if I used gold or silver ribbon, then I could have used gold or silver sparkles. I really like to keep it a little bit more simple and organic looking. So we are going to use our Halloween stars in the white. And actually, they're just perfect. I have 3 pairs of scissors. Sometimes I can't find a pair of scissors over here. Today I have 3. So there's 3 different sizes of these. So let's start with one of each size. I really like the teensy tiny ones. And then I'm going to do 2 more of the small ones, but not another one of the, or one of each of the smaller sizes. So we have 5. And then the last thing I did was I took my Ink of Stella and I just added some over the top to give it a little bit of a shimmer. So I just did it on their clothes. Because I don't think this is what made my card change colors, but we'll see, because now there's no adhesive. So I will, if it does, I don't always do a blog post for, there's a cat hair on here, while I'm gone. I get the videos up and then I get an email if you're on my email list. But if it changes colors, we'll know it was from the Stella and not from my adhesive. Because it does kind of look like it's changing colors, but I don't quite know how it would go through there to do that. So here's this one. I did this card. Next one I'm going to show you exactly the same way. And I'm 99% certain that that's where my seal is. Which, thankfully, it turned it crumb cake. Weird that cloud cover and seal together would equal crumb cake. So at least it doesn't look horrible. But I came down and I was like, what happened to my card? Because it looks like this. And I do like it like this because I like them pressed down a little bit more, because when they're pressed harder to the card, you see a little bit more of the detail. But I don't know if all colors, and I just don't have time this week because it is kind of intriguing to me. Like, do all colors change with the seal of blend? I'm not quite sure what it did. And you would have the chance, you could color back over the top of it. But you have to be so super careful that you don't touch the embossing powder, which this is a nice large design, so it can be done if you choose to. I kind of hate to cover it because then I don't have one to show. This also has the Ink of Stella on top of it. So we'll leave that little strip. Look, it is. And then we'll see what happens to that. Because if it's the Ink of Stella and the glycerin doing it, then that will change too, right? So over here, it has a green tinge because the Ink of Stella is not dry, and you know, it has that gold in it, which is kind of making the cloud cover look a little bit, definitely a little bit greener than this one. Very odd, very odd. But a beautiful card. It doesn't, nobody would know the colors. Well, another person who has all the Stampin' Up stuff might be like, what color did you use? I don't recognize it, but anybody that you send it to, and I guess maybe their hair is a little bit darker with 2 coats, but again, I only noticed it because it's sitting right here. So that's what I have. I will probably have a couple of other quick Christmas things for you up until Thanksgiving, but by the time I get back, it's the week of Thanksgiving, and I think we have something every day that week that I get back, and then it's Thanksgiving week after that. So, and Thanksgiving's late this year, so jam a lot into my November. Have a great one, and I hope you liked the little intrigue that we have with the vellum and the blends. Have a great one. Bye.